Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn, you may call me Joy, and today I have something very happy to talk about. Unfortunately, I have been away for a while. Yes, I know this. Yes, I have been taking some time for mental health reasons, and also because work is a thing. But I am working on a very large project at the moment for YouTube. I've got a script over there, it's almost ready. So look out for that when it's up. That will be in about a week or so. But for now, I want to talk about the Tavistock versus Bell ruling being overturned by the Court of Appeals. And this article, it's from the BBC. It was sent to me by my de facto researcher now. And I'm just going to read through the highlights of the article, and the link is obviously going to be in the usual place. So, doctors can judge if under 16s can give informed consent to puberty blocker use, the Court of Appeal has ruled. The appeal was brought by the Tavistock Trust, which runs the UK's only youth gender identity clinic. Why is there only one? Why is there only one? We need more. We need lots more. The decision reverses a 2020 ruling that under 16s lack capacity to give informed consent to the treatment, which delays the onset of puberty, which is obviously bollocks. The original case was brought by Keira Bell, who says the clinic should have challenged her more over transitioning. She said she was disappointed by the decision and will seek permission to appeal to the Supreme Court. Bell is someone who I have talked about previously on this channel. That's why I couldn't leave this topic alone. And what happened regarding her to her was nothing to do with the decision that was made by the original court. She started puberty blockers when she was 16. So after the period of time when it would make a difference if this ruling was in effect for her or not, she then started taking testosterone and underwent top surgery later on in her life. Again, no one expects teenagers who are under 16 to be able to make the decision to take those steps. Puberty blockers are just a way to put puberty on pause temporarily for people to think about which puberty they really want to go through. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else that Keira Bell herself went through. And the fact that that was the decision by the court, and the fact that that was what she was pushing for, literally makes no sense. Court of Appeal judges said they recognised the difficulties and complexities of the issue, but that it is for the clinicians to exercise their judgment, knowing how important it is that consent is properly obtained according to the particular individual circumstances. Puberty blockers are drugs used to pause puberty by suppressing the release of hormones. They are prescribed to some children who are experiencing gender dysphoria, which the NHS describes as a sense of unease that a person may have because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. The Tavistock Clinic said it welcomed the decision. Of course it did. That's what it was pushing for. Great stuff. The judgment upholds established legal principles which respect the ability of our clinicians to engage actively and thoughtfully with our patients in decisions about their care and futures, a spokesperson said. It affirms that it is for doctors, not judges, to decide on the capacity of under 16s to consent to medical treatment. And before anybody starts saying, well, how can a minor consent to treatment like that if they can't consent to things like sex, or if they can't be trusted to drive safely or anything like that. Under 16s do have to consent to medical procedures all the time. If they get tonsillitis or whatever, you know, they will have to consent to that procedure. I don't think that tonsillitis results in people having their tonsils removed anymore, but that's kind of a side issue. If that was still the case, if that is the case, then yeah, you know, that's something that a child would have to still consent to, and it is possible for them to have that explained to them, just as it is possible for a trans child or a gender questioning child to have it explained to them what puberty blockers do and what the purpose is. The Tavistock Gender Identity Development Service said that hormone treatment allows a young person time to consider their options and continue to explore their developing gender identity before making decisions about irreversible forms of treatment. That doesn't just mean things like cross-sex hormones and surgeries. That also means the things that happen in puberty naturally, because some of those things are irreversible. A trans woman, for example, might still have a deep voice from the testosterone that causes the larynx to thicken, and then that person has a deeper voice. I am just very fortunate that that didn't happen to me. And sometimes voice therapy is just very difficult. Why bother going through all that when you could just circumvent it entirely and have it not happen in the first place? In December 2020, the High Court ruled under 13s were, quote, highly unlikely to be able to give informed consent to what it described as experimental treatment, which it is not, and it was very doubtful those aged 14 and 15 would have the sufficient understanding of the implications. Now, it maddens me to think that these judges think that that is accurate. Like, puberty blockers are not experimental. They have been used for about 30 years now. We know the effects and the results. There is data, there are data is a plural word, to prove that. And links in the description of my last video about this. But not only that, the fact that they deem that under 16s aren't fully capable of making the decision of which puberty to go through proves that puberty blockers are necessary. Because puberty blockers do have reversible effects. You just stop taking them. Keira Bell, we've got to talk more about Keira Bell. So, one of the claimants in the case started taking puberty blockers at the age of 16 after being referred to the gender service. She was later prescribed the male hormone testosterone and had surgery to remove her breasts. This much I have already talked about. Now in her mid-20s, she regrets the decision to transition to male and feels that there wasn't enough investigation or therapy before she reached that stage. Again, this is after she hit 16, so the ruling on the court for puberty blockers makes absolutely zero sense. Someone transitions and then realizes they've made a mistake. Ordinarily, I would say, you know, sorry, that's sort of a terrible thing for you, but still doesn't make other trans people, their experiences and their identity and their need for treatment invalid, which is what she is trying to fucking do. And for that reason, that she is taking it out on other trans people, I just say fuck her. Fuck her. You know? Just fuck her. She can fuck off. She said she had, quote, no regrets about bringing the case, which she said shone a light into the dark corners of a medical scandal that is harming children and harmed me. Poor bitch. No one forced her to take testosterone. No one forced her. God. She was 17 when she started taking testosterone. She was 20 when she had top surgery. That is old enough to consent. Why is she taking out her own personal experiences on other trans people? Why is she making it impossible for other trans people, or trying to make it impossible for other trans youth to seek the help that they want and need? Like, I don't understand the reason for this vendetta that she has. Is she being paid by a cabal of TERFs or what? She says, I am obviously disappointed with the ruling of the court today, and especially that it did not grapple with the significant risk of harm that children are exposed to by being given powerful experimental drugs. This bitch, this utter bitch. They're not experimental. She has a bad experience, okay. Again, would say sorry, but stop taking that out on other people who actually are trans, who do need this shit. And all of this had a sort of knock-on effect. I'm scrolling ahead. All of this had a knock-on effect. And says, the Tavistock temporarily paused new referrals to its endocrinology service following the rulings of last year. Eligible under-16s who had already been referred for treatment and have parental consent are having their cases reviewed, with decisions overseen by an independent NHS England review group, which just takes even more time that these young people don't have, because puberty is happening in their bodies and doing things that they really feel very uncomfortable with, to the point that they wanted to take medication to stop this stuff happening to them. I just can't anymore. I'm beyond being nice and balanced and professional about it, because this is a vendetta against trans young people. And I am fed up with trans people being weaponized and politicized and used like pawns in this kind of debate. Trust me, the next video is going to be a lot about that. It's not up for debate. We are trans, we are here, and if we need medical treatment, then we need medical treatment. End of. Like, stop trying to prevent that. If Keira Bell really wanted the doctors to, like, investigate their clients fully and everything, then they would be doing exactly what they did with her. Because in her own words, she was fine. At the time, she was happy. She reported being happy with the changes going on in her body after taking testosterone and wanting the top surgery, and then post-top surgery. Like, they were just doing their jobs as best they could. The fact that she has regrets now is not on them. They were following procedure. And of course this reflects badly on everyone who is trans, who is looking for medical treatment, because whilst this is all being discussed and debated, the waiting times for being seen for adults who are willing to consent and are completely fully able to consent and everything to medical interventions is just growing longer and longer and longer. And that's what hurts the trans community the most. But anyway, I've got to edit all this down now. But until next time, I'll obviously see you soon. Trans, youths, non-binary, everyone valid except Belle. Bye.